Hi, I'm Vicky Carter, and you're watching the Let's Go Kickass Today video special. It's been a while, I'll be honest, a couple of months at least, and so much has changed across the world, in the UK, and hopefully within yourself as well. I couldn't relaunch this podcast without looking back at what has changed. And the Black Lives Matter movement has started a conversation with, let's be honest, has been around for centuries. But more people are talking now, and most importantly, more people are listening. I wanted to have an episode dedicated to remarkable individuals from the fields of music, adventure, and culture, of course, but moments in their lives where they faced racism. You'll be able to hear all 3 interviews from November the 15th, where my podcast relaunches. But in the meantime, enjoy the video special and the awkward internet moments.
So I'm here with Kojo Marfo, your owner and creative director of My Runway Group. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, good. Thank you. It's a pleasure to talk to you today.
Always.
So tell me a little bit more about My Runway Group, the creative projects you do. I mean, you've worked with Tate to run this town sessions. It's so diverse, and the variety is really interesting too.
Thank you very much. My Runway Group's been operating for the last 7 years. We are a youth empowerment organization. So we create projects, programs, campaigns that inspire younger people from underrepresented backgrounds, and then also solve issues in the community that we uphold. So it's just different creative ways of engaging young people, inspiring young people, and making sure we raise the next leaders that fully understand their role in the community. So most of the things that we do are either youth employability programs or community and charity initiatives or creative arts projects. Pretty much under that umbrella is how we've been operating for the last 7 years.
That's wonderful. All of that different variety. I mean, what inspired you to set up this initiative, this organization, and to have that impact on other individuals?
Yeah, our progress has been very organic. Originally started off as just an event. So then I started doing events in university, creative events like fashion shows here, comedy shows there. And there's always people that were asking to be a part of it, either for experience or just to engage with other creatives and whatnot for whatever reason. But then I didn't really have anything that I can just get everyone on board as like either a team or some sort of a platform or a movement. I literally just had one event that was similar to a creative production called My Runway Show. So then we could put different people, have different people play different roles, makeup artists, hair, stylists, creative designers, all of those kind of people could just come together as a team and just produce a creative production. And that is what organically evolved into, from a show to a movement, and then to a platform, and to pretty much, a youth empowerment organization at the moment.
Yeah, what has the journey been like for you to start initially from that idea and now, impacting so many communities in different areas as well? Did you ever imagine it would be this big, or did you always have a desire and thought this is going to be big?
I mean, I knew I had something when we constantly were getting so much interest from the youth community, and then even people that were interested in the youth community. So that I knew this was something. I just didn't know what direction it was going to go. So example were just, a lot of people will come back to say they need references for jobs. I'm like, this can help you get a job. We didn't really have a structure for our youth employability. We didn't have a structure for youth development. So it was a lot of like doing things just out of passion. We're very like passion driven creators, a bunch of us. And that was it. But when we started putting a structure around it, that's when we realized that, oh, wait a minute, this is the reason why this person now has this business, or this person got signed to this model agency, or this person is now running this campaign. So we do have something here, and then that's how we started taking it more serious as a business and as a platform.
Exactly. I mean, why do you think it's important to have a platform and a community that inspires confidence in young people and also allows them to build a connection with yourselves, who obviously have, connections across and contacts across loads of different networks, so then they can build up their experience and move on to other places? I feel that it's a really important partnership.
Yeah, I definitely. A lot of, that's a very good question. A lot of Black young creators lack access, funding, and direction. So these three main areas is the reason why the biggest idea ever might never happen, you know, or people that have the biggest idea might never know how to navigate it or to make it happen. In other communities, the structures are in place. They have access. They can easily get funding. They can easily get inspired. They can see role models and whatnot that look like them, that they can identify with, you know. But in our community, it's not really visible. So it's we think it's our responsibility as a platform, as a youth empowerment organization, to curate these events to bridge the gap between senior professionals in the BAME community and then grassroots creatives and all sort of things as well. And then most importantly, all the issues in the community that are surrounded by our young creatives or young people, which is like unemployment, depression, celebrity obsessions, all of these things, drug abuse, suicide. We need to make sure that whilst you're giving people employability skill sets, you're also putting them in a position to add their voice into, you know, creating a better community. And that's what we've been living by.
Yeah, 100%. That's amazing work. And
Oh, thank you.
no, I'm happy that you're doing such work to, you know, in the UK. I mean, is it, whereabouts are you doing the work? Is it just, I remember we spoke before, and
So,
it's originated from Coventry. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. So is it all across the UK now?
So it's all across the UK now. But in Coventry is where the show started, and we did 3 years of that. So it was originally targeted at students, and then we scaled it up into community. So you don't have to be a student to be a part of our team or production or witness the event. And then that also scaled up into a regional production. So for the first time, we have different creatives from Leicester, Birmingham, Coventry, Warwick, all coming together, you know, to work on one particular production and also create a better community. And then we just thought at that moment we've just reached glass ceilings in terms of impact and reach. So then we moved it to London, again as a show, a creative production, and then that's when we started having a lot more impact in different areas. And yeah, pretty much. So now we do a lot of things around like London is where the focus is. But then we have a lot of impact and reach with different things that we do, especially even over Corona. That we've been doing a lot of like what's it called, online initiatives. So we do a lot of our physical events online. So we are reaching a lot more people in different areas as opposed to those that probably couldn't have come to London because of what distance and whatnot. Yeah.
Of course. I was going to ask, how has your business adapted due to coronavirus, and what's the
Yeah.
response been like to your online initiatives?
I mean, it's been a gift and a curse because we were very much of a physical event driven business. So, you know, the event industry is literally non-existent at the moment, but then it shows that we are able to adapt. So we make sure that most of the events that we can move online, we did. And then also come up with new concepts that still solves the same issues, inspires younger people, highlights creatives, but it doesn't have to be done in the, you know, in a physical space. And then what we've realized is that our social engagement is really going up. That means we're reaching a lot more people, engaging with a lot more people. That means we can showcase a lot more creatives and we can tell our stories the way we want. So with us, it's really been a change of, not a massive change of direction, it's just a change of process. But then the impact has been the same, if not more. And I think that goes back into like our very recent one with Tate. Like, I've always wanted to do something with Tate, which is a great gallery. Tate Collective, to be honest, supports a lot of younger people with interest into arts and with their membership scheme. But if we had to wait till Corona was over, it was never going to happen or anytime soon. But then what we came up with this concept called Home is Where the Art Is. That way we can have a 5-week series where we can showcase different artists, young artists from the Black community that need visibility, from their homes. Still be doing live painting, almost like an art therapy session, and then have a Q&A session where they can talk about their struggles, how they got to where they are now, the things that they need, the support that is required, just so another person that is tuned in from Brazil or Ghana or Leicester, or Lagos can also identify with these similar things that these artists are talking about and use that to inspire them. And we've had a lot of positive feedback for especially that profiling campaign. And then we also do have other creative initiatives like in Youth We Trust, where we highlight different creatives across the world with engaging questions and carousel posts. And then we have our Words of Wonder, which is our motivational video content that people have been sending all across the world as well. So I think this, if anything, Corona has opened us up to a world of creatives. Not so it's not My Runway Group's operation is not nationwide anymore. It's we literally working with different creatives from different parts. Literally from doing online initiatives.
Yeah, that power of connection is so powerful for everyone, the communities all across
Tell
the
me about
world.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wonderful that now obviously the whole world has switched to online, and we're adapting and we're adjusting, and you're doing it successfully. And I think
Yeah.
it is so important for young people to be able to see themselves as in loads of different spectrums, in the arts, in media as well, especially if you're going into an institution that's predominantly white and predominantly male. You
Yeah.
need to be able to see even if that's issues or themes.
I agree.
Exactly. So I think it's really important work that you're doing. I mean, speaking about diversity, I mean, Sir Lenny Henry has been having conversations about this for years, and BFI have now been highlighted. Their standards haven't changed for a number of years. Recently, Jeremy Tardy has called out from Dear White People, Netflix and Lionsgate films about unequal pay. The Oscars have now started doing categories as well to strengthen diversity. I mean, do you think that steps are being made appropriately? And do you think, like, how much more does there need to be done for there to be more equality across the board?
I mean, as long as there's progress with the right intent, then we're going to see positive results over a period. What I do not want is people using Black people as a token, or as Black History Month, or this is our little culture towards Black Lives Matter, and this is a phase, and after a while, we don't really want to do work with you, or we don't really care about your concerns. And then the next phase of this is just going to be very detrimental. So we need people that are going to sit down and say, what's the long-term plan in terms of strengthening diversity or inclusion, or making sure that the younger generation don't experience what we are going through. If not, they would also be having the Black Lives Matter movement in 10 years, and their kids will be doing it in 20 years. And it's just going to be a ripple effect. So if we really want modern day Britain to look like what the creative industry looks like and what Black people's contribution is to, especially the creative industry, then we need to make sure that, our voices are being heard. There isn't any pay gaps because of race, because that happens so many times, and I think people haven't had the confidence to have that conversations in a long time. So when these things happen, it just forces everyone to voice out their opinion, and then forces, the powers that be to make changes that can affect not just the work that we do or support the work that we do, but also make sure that the young creative from a certain background doesn't feel underprivileged, doesn't feel like this is only for white people, or I don't even see any Black person doing this. Those conversations need to change. So I think I can see some level of concern. We just need it to be a bit more sincere and long term, and not just performative for a period. And hopefully we make some progress over it. It's not going to be overnight, but we do need some long-term plans in place, as opposed to a quick donation here and there to kind of shut people up.
No, 100%. It's those conversations, and also bringing people in through, different systems and jobs and services, and not only bringing people up and training them up, but also from higher positions as well. So then they can reflect and see themselves, and that aspiration. You've spoken about charities and communities you work with topics such as suicide and depression. Tell me a little bit more about that work that you do.
I mean, that's pretty much very personal to myself and then to My Runway Group. I suffered with depression whilst in university, especially in my first year, very close to committing suicide. Also in our third year running My Runway Group, we lost a photographer to suicide. Again, we didn't even know that was the reason for his death until later. So we just realized that, for myself, if I went ahead with to do in 2009, there probably wouldn't be any My Runway Group at all. And I'm not sure how many of these kids probably would be doing some of the things that they're doing now. And then also, I don't know how great Michael would have been if he kept at it, and I don't know what issues he was dealing with. So we decided that, once we now have people's attention, we have a platform. So we don't want to wait till we lose another Michael. We don't want to wait till, something drastic keeps happening in our community, because a lot of suicide cases are young Black men. And there is a reason why people are finding it difficult to speak up. People are finding it difficult to get help, express themselves or accept vulnerability at different stages. So we now need to make sure we create these programs like Taboo to ensure that conversations are being had and practical solutions are also being offered. So not just put a bunch of people together to discuss it, which is great because that conversation is really needed. However, what kind of helpline is available, what kind of support is available. If someone is dealing with depression, people going through different emotional changes in university, at work, or in their relationships, with families, with friends, and all of that, how best can they now get support? Because these conversations are never had like on a very trusted level, and that is what we try to use, either creative ways or communal ways to engage people and this, because I lived it. This is like my story, and I know a bunch of other people that would have never been around if they went that direction. So it's very sensitive, but it's not forbidden. And we make an effort to make sure people feel inspired. The motivational videos keep running, because you never know who needs what at what moment. But yeah, that's how we've been running it.
Thank you so much for opening up to me just now, and I'm really sorry for what you've been through, your own experiences and your friends and your colleagues, and I admire your strength and your courage, and not only speaking from me, from just this ripple effect, but everyone you work with, everyone you've ever worked with, I'm sure is over the moon that you are happy, and though every day each day might be difficult, we admire you being there, and I think you're a real inspiration because you're selfless, you're thinking of everyone else and helping and benefiting the community. So I think that's fantastic.
Thank you, much appreciated.
Oh, no worries at all.
We're very much interested in replicating the model that we've started. We know it works. It worked in Midlands, it works in London. We've done some stuff in West Africa, it works. So now it's more about how do you replicate these models on a global scale, and working with other organizations and reaching out to other creators and identifying other issues in communities across the world, in Europe and in Asia, and every area that we can find young people. We want to have some sort of presence there, and also be able to help and also become like a household name for everything youth, youth empowerment, youth development, anything in the youth community. We want to be a part of it in the next 5 to 10 years.